Councilmember Kaiser is absent. We have a quorum.
All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have an agenda before us. Looking for a motion. Nancy?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second. Olga?
I'll second that.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. First item is a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth 2022, whereas the priority of Crystal City Council is making Crystal a welcoming and inclusive community, and whereas recognizing Juneteenth and what it stands for directly relates to the city's efforts to be more welcoming and inclusive community. Whereas June 19th has a special meaning to Americas and is called Juneteenth in combination of the words June and 19, and has been celebrated by Americans for over 150 years. And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, it has been celebrated under many names, including Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Second Independence Day, Emancipation Day, and whereas the Emancipation Proclamation was issued January 1st, 1863. However, notice of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was not received on the island of Galveston, Texas, until after the Union General Gordon Granger traveled to announce the general order on June 19th, 1865. And whereas our African American residents' freedom, contributions, and achievements are acknowledged as part of our American history. Now therefore, I, Jim Adams, Mayor of Crystal, do hereby proclaim that June 19th, 2022 is recognized as Juneteenth Freedom Day in Crystal, and the history, contributions, and achievements of African Americans in Crystal and the U.S. are recognized, dated the 7th day of June, 2022. Next, we have a consent agenda. I'll read that into the record. It's the approval of the minutes from the following meetings. Council work session on May 17th, 2022. Council meeting from that same date. Special council meeting on May 3rd, 2022. Approval of the list of license applications submitted by the city clerk to the city council. That list is on file in her office. Adoption of a resolution accepting donations. Adoption of a resolution reporting on state performance measures. Approval for the following items for 2022 Crystal Frolics. Temporary closure of a portion of 46th Avenue and 47th Avenue North from July 28th to the 31st, 2022 for city and volunteer staff parking, fireworks displays, and waterball competition hosted by the West Metro Fire Relief Association. A permit for fireworks displays at Welcome Park on July 29th and 30th, 2022, submitted by Hollywood Pyrotechnics, Inc., a temporary on-sale license, liquor license at Becker Park on July 29th and 30th, 2022, submitted by Omni Brewing Company. A resolution authorizing lawful gambling permit at Welcome Park from July 28th to the 31st, 2022, submitted by the West Metro Fire Rescue District Relief Association. Adoption of a resolution rescinding the approval of a preliminary and final plot of Crystal Flats at 6613 36th Avenue, and a resolution rescinding vacation of an easement at that same address. That is our consent agenda. Looking for a motion on this. Olga?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, looking for a second. David?
I second that.
Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. You're in the spot that I never see. So if you're raising
Oh,
your
yeah.
hand, raise your hand forward.
Oh, well, that's a good idea.
Just wave it.
I barely saw you on that one.
Over here.
Julie used to complain, what am I, invisible? No, it's just very peripheral. Open forum, do we have anyone here wishing to speak during open forum? Seeing no one here, stepping up, looking, no one online. All right, we will skip by open forum. And disbursements, $25,000 or greater. I'll read those into the record. Cloud Computing Solutions LLCs for Verkada, CCTVs, cameras for recreation, $51,530. Logis for monthly application support and hosting and network services for $38,289. Metro Council Environmental Services for SAC charges for April, $61,503. West Metro Fire Rescue District for the May contributions for the West Metro Fire Rescue District is $113,656. Mansfield Oil Company for unleaded and diesel fuels for the fleet, $31,739. Met Council for wastewater services for June is $142,050. Nitty Sanitation annual curbside cleanup costs, $534,132. SRF Consulting Group design fees for dog park, parking lots, and pedestrian bridge, $25,746. Center for Energy and Environment Home Improvement Loan Grant Program, $30,648. MinPair for employee and city required contributions for pay date 5/13, $66,660. Total disbursements over $25,000 is $1,095,953.16. Questions on any of these items from the council? Go ahead, John.
Just regarding the CCTV cameras, they've been installed already? They're in place?
Yep.
Oh, that was quick, right?
It was. I have a question, Jim.
Nice, thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Just a quick question on the SRF Consulting Group line for fees, design fees of the dog park and all. And I know we got that bid, and then you talked about the pedestrian bridge maybe needing a little bit. And I'll just talk while John comes up to the podium. But I was just wondering, would these fees be increased with possible changes in design or structural for the bridge or the dog park?
So we actually have separate contracts for we had the package of dog park and 2 parking lots. And then we have a separate contract for the bridge.
Yes.
So we are working with SRF on the head bridge.
So there could be additional fees with that because there
Yeah,
may be
well-
a different design. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a contract for design services specifically for the bridge.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, any others? Looking for a motion? John?
I move to approve the listed disbursements over 25,000.
All right,
I'll
Nancy?
second.
Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next, we will be receiving our 2021 annual financial report, and our financial director, Jean McGann, is here to address the council. And so is
Well,
someone
good
else.
evening. Once again, the year-end financial statements have been completed, and the audit has also been completed. It's required that we finalize everything by June 30th. And Andy Grice from Bergen KDV, our audit firm, is here tonight to present the overall audit itself, as well as the other required information that they do need to disclose. Andy.
Thank you, Jean. And thank you to the City Council for having me here tonight. Wanted to start out by going over our independent auditor's report. We do include that in the financial statement document, and that provides the opinion that we are issuing on the financial statements. Our role as your auditor is to come in, test, examine, look at the underlying documentation to support the numbers and disclosures in your financial statements, and issue an opinion as to whether these financial statements conform with generally accepted accounting principles. We are giving a clean or an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's the best that we can give as your auditor. And again, that's our role, is to provide that opinion, and these are the responsibility of management. We also issue a report on Minnesota legal compliance. The Office of the State Auditor has legal compliance guides that list out certain state statutes that we're required to report on as part of our audit procedures. If anything comes to our attention that causes us to believe that the city didn't comply with certain provisions, that includes deposits and investments, conflicts of interest, claims and disbursements, contracts and bidding. If anything comes to our attention as part of our audit procedures that causes us to believe that the city didn't comply with those statutes, we'd be required to report those. However, there were no findings to report. We also issue our report on government auditing standards. That report has us consider internal control over financial reporting, and we're required to report any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control in that report. And we just had one significant deficiency that's a mid-level finding, and that relates to some overlap in accounting duties, a similar finding to what's been issued in the past. We also issue our communications letter. This includes some required communication for management and city council. And it again goes through the report on any matters that we identified as part of our audit procedures, as well as all of the other required communication. It also provides a financial analysis. And that financial analysis starts by taking a look at the general fund balance here for the last 5 years. There was a decrease of about 7% in total fund balance for the year, ending the year at about $7.8 million, about a $588,000 decrease from the prior year. There are several components of fund balance. So we have the amounts that are committed for the compensated absences liability. That's at about $957,000. There's an amount that is non-spendable. So those are amounts that are related to prepaid items or inventory balances. That's at about $46,000. And then that leaves the unassigned portion of fund balance, the amounts that are available for future use, at about $6.8 million. The city does have a fund balance policy in place to maintain a minimum of 45% unassigned fund balance in the general fund as a percent of the budget. And at the end of the year, the city's total fund balance was at 45%. The unassigned portion was at 40% of budgeted expenditures. Next, we'll take a look at the budget to actual results, and this highlights City Council's responsibility as it relates to the financial statements, and that's adopting and monitoring the budget. And the budget called for $16.1 million in revenue, $16.7 million in expenditures, and anticipated transfers in or other financing sources of about $480,000, and anticipated no change in fund balance for the year. And actual revenues came in at $572,000, so about 3.5% less than anticipated. And the main driver there was licenses, permits, fines, and charges for services line, really related to the charges for services related to the community center, recreation activities, and pool revenues. Still not quite back to the COVID-19 level, so it did come in under budget there. The other line item includes items such as interest earnings. The market did experience some poor market conditions to close the year, which affected the market value adjustment there at the end of the year, and ultimately contributed to revenues being under budget for 2021. On the expenditure side, basically right on budget, just a 0.1% variance, or $16,000 more than anticipated, so right on budget on the expenditure side. And again, the net other financing uses were on budget, and ultimately it was that revenue side that caused the fund balance to decrease about $588,000 for the year. The next chart highlights general fund revenues over the last 5 years, and in 2021, the property taxes made up the majority of the general fund revenues at just over $12 million. There was an increase in property tax revenue this year with an increase in levy. There was also a significant decrease in intergovernmental revenues. The CARES funding was received last year, and that was a significant portion of intergovernmental revenues back in 2020 at $3.6 million, and decreased this year to $1.8 million. Licenses and permits increased from $676,000 to $875,000 with an increase in building activity. And again, charges for services did increase. It did rebound back related to the pandemic, and did see some increased activity, but not quite back to pre-COVID levels. And the other category, again, that decrease related to interest earnings for the year. Next, we take a look at the makeup of general fund expenditures, and this shows general fund expenditures by function. And with the recreation programming coming back online here this year, there was a little bit of an uptick in the park and recreation category, making up 21% of total expenditures compared to 19% last year. But public safety still makes up the majority of total general fund expenditures at 51%, followed by general government at 13% and public works at 11%. Looking at general fund expenditures over the last 5 years, specifically looking at 2020 compared to 2021, there was an increase in expenditures in total of about $1 million or 6.7%. Again, park and recreation increasing with increased recreation programming. Public Works, Public Safety did see some increases this year with internal service fund charges increasing in the fund for 2021. Next, we'll take a look at the enterprise fund, starting with the water utility fund. The water utility fund saw an increase in operating revenue with increased in rates or water charges. Also saw an increase in operating expenses with an increase in utility system costs as well as increased fleet and building internal service fund charges. Ultimately did result in a net income for the year of about $1.5 million. Also provided this information excluding depreciation. Depreciation is a non-cash operating expense, and having that figure without depreciation gives a better idea on the impact on cash and investment balances as well as the unrestricted net position, and that came in at a $1.7 million surplus excluding depreciation. Next, we'll take a look at sanitary sewer utility. This fund also experienced an increase in operating revenue with increased sewer charges as well as increased sewer charges on the operating revenue side, so increasing to $3.1 million. Operating expenses increased with increased sewer disposal and utility system costs, and again, some internal service fund charges. That resulted in an operating income of the year of about $425,000, $577,000, excluding depreciation, a little bit of a decrease from the prior year. Next, highlighting the storm drainage utility fund. This fund experienced an increase in operating revenues, also an increase in operating expenses, and ultimately generated a net income of $480,000, $896,000 excluding depreciation. And last, for the enterprise funds, the streetlight utility. This fund had a operating revenue of $194,000, so fairly similar to the prior year. Decrease in operating expenses this year, and generated an operating income or a net income with depreciation of about $12,000, without depreciation at $45,000. Next, wanted to highlight some per capita trends, specifically looking at revenues and expenditures per capita. Did want to highlight total revenue per capita did decrease this year, and that related to the CARES funding received in the prior year. So with those significant CARES dollars that were received in the prior year, did it anticipate a decrease on this metric here. Property taxes per capita, looking at the statewide averages, which is provided for 2020, and the city of Crystal 2020 numbers, the city is below the statewide averages at $529 per capita, and did see an increase here in 2021 with an increase in levy. The expenditures per capita also increased this year, going from $702 to $753, and total expenditures per capita fairly consistent with the prior year. Last chart to highlight here is tax capacity, certified tax levy, and tax rate. The tax capacity is tied to market values within the city, which increased from $22.4 million to $23.6 million here in 2021. We also saw an increase in the certified tax levy, going from $12.1 million to about $12.8 million, which resulted in a fairly flat city tax rate here from 2020 to 2021, and has been flat over the 5 years presented here. That's the highlight on the financial analysis, and just like to open it up for any questions.
Go ahead, John.
Last year, Gene, I think we had to reevaluate how we report our expenses, I think. Is there some type of a tax consideration in terms of how we accounted for those expenditures? Is that correct, if I recall? And is that a result of, may have caused our expenses to kind of, drift upwards as a result of that tax policy change?
Actually, it would have a net zero impact.
Net zero.
Because what we were doing is we established the internal service funds.
Yes.
And so the additional expense was offset by additional revenue.
Okay. All right.
And so it's a net zero impact.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So, any other questions?
I think I'm good.
Were you trying to get at why the increased?
I was just wondering if, sometimes when there's a policy change, sometimes you see a little net uptick in terms of expenditures as a result of that change. And it's good that Jeannie explained it the way she did, because that makes it, even though the policy went into effect, there is no downward or negative impact as a result of that change, which is great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. On the audit?
Yep.
Seeing none?
Good work.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
We would like for you to accept the audit, though.
Yes.
Oh, that. Yeah. Don't you got a meeting soon? Yeah. Looking for a motion. Go ahead, John.
I make a motion to accept the 2021 annual financial report from Bergen KDV.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Nancy. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
And I just want
Thank
to
you.
thank Finance, Jean and Andy for all their work on pulling together everything for the annual report, so thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some additional reading that's gonna have to happen on a different time, especially with that financial report.
In case you have insomnia.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about the ordinance rezoning at 482456. And John is here to talk about that, not Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. This is a second reading of a rezoning ordinance that you approved first reading of on May 17th. So this is going to be a very abbreviated presentation. The property is at 4824 56th Avenue North. It's on the north side of Bass Lake Road, right before the curve, sort of at the northeast edge of town. It's a half-acre lot owned by the Economic Development Authority that we are in the process of selling to a builder to construct a two-family dwelling. In our comprehensive plan, it is guided for low-density residential, so the proposed rezoning to R1 would be consistent with that. I'm going to skip the rezoning details slide and the recommended findings slide because they're in your packet and you have already seen these at the May 17th meeting, but I can certainly come back to that if there are questions. So what's happened so far is the Planning Commission held the required public hearing and unanimously recommended approval of the rezoning. City Council, as I said, approved first reading on May 17th. And tonight, there are two actions requested, or two motions. The first motion would be to approve second reading and adoption of the rezoning ordinance, and the second motion would be to adopt the summary publication resolution. And assuming both of those things happen, it'll be published on June 16th, and the rezoning would take effect on July 16th. And I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, questions for John? Seeing none. Thank you, John. Looking for a motion. David?
So I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of an ordinance rezoning 4824 56th Avenue North from commercial to low-density residential, and the adoption of a resolution approving the summary language of the ordinance for publication.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, we got to do two. We got two.
As I was reading, I was like, I think this is two, but I'm just going to finish it.
So just
Do I
for
have to
the
reread
first
half then?
Good try. Yeah, you don't have to reread it.
Okay.
So it's just the first one.
Got it.
Olga, did you want to second that?
I'll second the first one.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. David, you want to take the second?
Yeah, sure. I make a motion to approve the adoption of a resolution approving the summary language of the ordinance for publication.
All right.
For the same
Second.
address. Yeah.
I second that.
Oh, good. Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Next is the authorization for purchasing a replacement dishwasher for the community center and kitchen. John Elholm, our recreation director, is here to address the council. Welcome, John.
Well, good evening again, Mr. Mayor, council members. The dishwasher at the community center is 20 years old and is failing. We've actually had two repair people come out and done a few things, but said this just needs to get replaced. Our hope was that we could have this go until next year. It's in our budget for 2023. But, you know, it needs to be replaced now. So there is some savings from this year to purchase the dishwasher this year. And then the project would come out of next year's budget. So it's just shifting some funds a little bit earlier. We did get some quotes from 3 vendors. Trimark is the lowest at $27,191.52. And so the recommendation here tonight is to approve the attached resolution, entering into an agreement with Trimark to furnish and install a replacement Hobart dishwasher at the Crystal Community Center in the amount of $27,190.52, and authorizing the mayor and city manager to sign the agreement with Trimark for completion of the work.
All right, go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, just a question. I had no idea a commercial dishwasher was 30 grand. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
so that includes purchase and installation.
Okay.
So it's not like your home dishwasher that you
I
can
know
just
it's those
slide it
big,
in there.
massive ones where you lift up the
Right,
door.
and the style of this one's a little bit different. We currently have the one that you can just kind of keep pushing dishes through. We don't have that volume of dishes, and those are far less efficient than the ones where you put your dishes in and, you know, do a load at a time.
Sure.
You still can slide them into the side, but it's just kind of one load at a time. So should increase the efficiency quite a bit.
And this is the same brand you said, Hobart? It's just 3
Correct.
different bids for price. Okay, they're
Correct.
pretty tight. Yeah.
Mhm.
And if no other questions, I'll make a motion.
I got questions and comments.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
Did you have something, Olga?
No, I was just jealous that it's a 20-year dishwasher. I was like,
Lasted that long,
Yeah.
right?
You want your dishwasher to last that long? What?
I do. They won't.
So, obviously, I had some conversation in-house before the meeting. So it's not functioning today? Or-
It is functioning, but I know our building manager is trying to get some different kind of chemicals because it's the heat isn't getting hot enough. So it'll kind of wash things, but not to the sterilizing like it needs to.
Isn't that the on-demand water heater?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are 2 different jobs, right? On-demand water heater.
It's all in the same,
Well,
same
it's
unit.
it's
Yeah.
inside the unit. It's
Yeah.
not like a residential on-demand. That would be a separate unit nearby. Okay, that clears up a lot. Thank you. Yeah, I thought that was 2 different things. That pretty much wipes out all those other questions. Nancy?
I'll make a motion then for resolution in support of replacing the dishwasher in the commercial kitchen at the Crystal Community Center.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second. David?
I'll second that.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
thank you.
Oh, the things we understand. Or don't. Next, we have an ordinance establishing an Inclusion and Diversity Commission. Our city attorney, Troy Gilchrist, is here to address the council on that. Welcome, Troy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So what you have before you is the product of, frankly, a lot of your hard work. You know, usually I'm the one who brings it to the table, but actually this is something that was clearly a group effort over several meetings. And what you have before you is the product of the last work session, the direction that you gave at the last work session to clean up a couple of provisions. And so, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is before you for a first reading, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. One thing just to keep in mind, so if it passes first reading this evening, what you'll see at second reading is both the ordinance for second reading and adoption and the bylaws that were also worked on at the same time. So there'll be a resolution to adopt the bylaws at that time.
Okay. Excellent. Questions? Seems to me I had one, but I don't remember if it was bylaws or not. Go ahead, David.
Not a question, but just kind of a general comment. I'm just, this is one of the reasons why I ran for office, and it's really exciting to kind of see it come to fruition. And I know it was a lot of hard work, a lot of time and effort went into this, so appreciate everyone's thoughts and work on that. And it's just great to be kind of at the goal line here, as it were, so.
To get it across the finish line, is that what you said?
Hopefully, yeah. that quarterback sneak in there or whatever, but, yeah, just.
I
happy for
can't,
this.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm just happy for, to be here, and it's, I'm really excited, and I hope it will do a lot of good for our city.
Awesome. Anybody else?
No, seconding David, that's a excellent statement, and also a big reason I ran too was get people involved and feel included and welcomed, and looking forward to getting this started and staffed up.
Yep. I think of it more as a continuation of what we've already done for
Sure.
for years and years.
Yep.
In this ordinance, that doesn't have the meeting time. That's in the bylaws. Is that correct?
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. For the record, I'd like to change that, if we possibly could, to, it reads Wednesday,
Yep. Second one,
second Wednesday. Can we go first Wednesday?
that's Park and Rec Commission, if you want to conflict with another commission.
But they can't be on the same
Right,
commission,
right, you're
correct?
gonna- Right,
So
correct.
there's really, unless you have staff
Unless there's
issues.
Staff issues.
Do you think we'll have staff issues there?
Occasionally, but not ongoing. I mean, not consistently.
Yeah, I think that's what I would like to do. Anybody have any issues with that? Okay.
Who typically would be the staff person that would be assigned to this commission?
I think to start, it's gonna be me and the police chief. I think makes sense to start. I don't know where it will end up, but that's where I think it's gonna start.
Okay.
But
So,
we haven't totally finalized that.
all right,
That's just my initial thoughts off the top of my head.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So, first Wednesday, you said, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, on this one, any other questions on the ordinance? Seeing none, thank you. Looking for a motion. Nancy?
I'd like to make a motion for, to approve an ordinance establishing the Inclusion and Diversity Commission.
Okay, I'll second that. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Hey, that was it. Couple announcements. Crystal Airport Open House is Sunday, June 19th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Crystal Airport. All kinds of things. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can touch base. So there's a waffle breakfast, $7 from 8 to 11. There'll be a car show. There's a craft fair. And it sounds like there's going to be a good number of planes for the flyover at noon. So be there at that time. And then there's helicopter rides and airplane rides. I think that covers everything. It's just a great Father's Day event if you're looking for something to do for Father's Day. So come on out. And you can check out the airport, which is, kind of our hidden gem in Crystal, I would say. So.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for that. Next council meeting is Tuesday, June 21st, 7 p.m., same place, same station. Any other announcements?
Sure, I'm missing something, but, John?
You can make a motion to adjourn if you want.
All right, we're adjourned.
That wasn't an announcement, but
I said I could.
Fear of missing out, right? Nancy?
I'll second that.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right.